if you remember from my first video, I had, if you remember from my first video, oh my. Hi guys, welcome back to Basics with B. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Blessing and welcome to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys an update on my experience with these menstrual cups that I've been trying out these past few months. And if you haven't watched the first video, please have a look at it so that you can just have an idea of how my first experience was. And today I'm just going to be giving you guys an update and a few tips on things that I've learned in the past few months since that first experience. So for those of you who have watched the first video, you'd remember that I was literally in hell. I was having the worst experience ever. 0 out of 10 recommend. Okay, maybe 2 out of 10. And you know what? Nothing has changed. Okay, I'm just kidding. It has changed a great deal. I have had a much better experience in the past few months. One of the bigger things that I had to decide on is whether I'm more comfortable with the smaller one or the bigger cup, and the past few months I've still been alternating between the two. Eventually started using the bigger one more frequently because it was just a lot more comfortable. Actually in my last period I had to go back to using the small one because I couldn't find this bigger one, and yeah, it just further reaffirmed how much more the bigger one is more comfortable for me. I'm still getting to know it obviously in terms of how to put it in, how long I should have it in there and things like that, but I think at this stage I can give this a 7 out of 10. A 7 out of 10 recommend it. I don't think I'll go back to tampons at all. I might still use pads here and there, especially where I don't have a heavy flow and I don't want to have tampons in there. But yeah, so far these are just working perfectly for me. So in terms of tips, first one, I think if you aren't already comfortable with something like tampons, this might be a bit much for you to just get used to. So I'll definitely, maybe for first month or two, just try out tampons, get used to putting it in, because I know for some people it might be a bit uncomfortable, getting all your fingers in there, getting another object in there. So it's just a lot to handle. Even for me, who has been using tampons for years and these cups for a few months, it is sometimes what is going on up there? But the more you do it, you'll kind of get the hang of it. So I'll start with tampons. They are pretty simple to use. The next tip, I'd say, when you're putting it in, take your time. I had a lot of pressure on myself to just get it right the first time it goes in, and it's just not realistic sometimes. I have to move it around, I have to try different angles. Sometimes I have one foot on the bathtub. Just a matter of finding a comfortable position for you, and yeah, maybe the one time it'll work, the next time it won't work, but just keep trying. And on that as well, in terms of how to place the cup, that's tip number 3. I usually just bend it, put a finger in between and fold it. Basically just fold it into a C. I hope you guys can see this properly. And then I would push it up, and then when it's in there, then I will ensure that it's actually properly in there, because sometimes it's in there but it's sitting like this or something like that. So I move it around when it's in there, usually with 2 fingers. Sometimes it might need to be pushed a little bit further. Well, that's just for me when I want it to be a bit more comfortable, to be sure that it's really in there and secure. So that's how you can do it. Other people though do it like this, where you put your finger down there and just fold it this way, and then have it like this. I found that it will just start already opening up before I got it in there, so that just didn't work for me. Okay, so the next tip, I think is a pretty obvious tip based on how horrible the first experience was, is cut the stem. Definitely cut the stem. When you get it, it's about this long usually. When I now cut it down, I left like 2 bars. I'm not sure if you guys can see it from here. There's like 2 bars left there. Cut it to whatever length feels comfortable for you. I think when you get it, it might come to up to like 5 or 4 bars. Start with cutting down one and then see how it goes, and then yeah, you might need to keep cutting it just so that it's comfortable in your body. And in terms of washing, so one thing that I did when I was first using it is that I was like washing and boiling the cups after each wash, like between each change. After speaking to someone from the Mina Cup team, they've been really helpful with answering all my questions. When you're first using it, just need to wash it with soap and then boil it maybe in a pot for 5 minutes, and then at the end of your period cycle again, then just wash with soap and boil it and put it away. But in between changes, you just need to pour out the menstrual blood and rinse it out, and then put it back in, and then you're good to go. So the next step is more, how do you decide which cup works for you? Like I said, I tried both. I was fortunate enough to have both the cups, and for me, the better one was the bigger one. But if you're still new again to like tampons and things like that, maybe you might want to start with the smaller one. But if you have a heavy flow, the bigger one is really great because you can go even longer with it in there. I think when I'm on my period, I usually change it like twice a day. Obviously, in some cases, I'll change like 3 times if I'm having like a really heavy flow that day. But generally speaking, like this for me works. So yeah, if you have a light flow and you're just not used to like having something in there the whole day, then maybe just start with the smaller one. So this next tip is slightly difficult to really explain, and you'll see why. What I've found is that sometimes when you've just started your period, especially if you started during the day, or just sometime when you can't go and wash off. The thing is that when you put the period cup in, it collects what is coming out of you, right? It collects what's coming out of you, but not what's already there, in a sense. So obviously when you first get it, you wipe, but you don't always wipe everything well enough. So like you can see, even when you put it in and you take it out, there's usually like blood around it, because obviously the area in itself has blood and discharge and things around it, right? So what I have found is that even when I have the period cup in there, there'd still be remnants, and when I pee or something, then the blood mixed with urine or whatever it is would kind of just stain my underwear. So the next tip, sorry for that long ass explanation, but the next tip is basically to just put on a panty liner in between those changes, or when you first start the period. Taking out a period cap can get really messy. If you remember from my first video, like I had such a mess being out and trying to take this period cup out. Firstly, obviously when you're trying to take it out, sometimes you don't feel it, so you might need to like almost like you're coughing it out, like I don't know how to best explain it, but just like oh my gosh, yeah. But basically just try add pressure to your lower area, and then as soon as it starts like coming out, it's pretty heavy at that point, so it should already start descending out. Is the word descending? Okay, anyway, child. And then just hold it with both fingers or 3 fingers, hold it out and just guide it out, and then don't rush taking it out, because that's what I did. So pull it out and then dip it while it's still under you, because if you now decide to do this to check and whatever, that's when mistakes happen. Obviously, if you feel like you're in control, then you can do that. If you want to just see how much it's filled up, actually that's a good idea. But yeah, just be sure, and because it might be really full and then it's just a mess. But again, it's just menstrual blood, you can just clean it up. But just to avoid it. Just take it out while the toilet is still under you. Okay, so finally my last tip. So last time I told you guys that you guys can find these period cup on Mina cup, which I still think is pretty valuable. The only thing is that these cups are clear, and this means that they stain a lot quicker. I didn't know that these things can stain, but the more I use it, I'm just like, it's losing a bit of its color. I don't know if you guys can, obviously now I've just been touching it a lot, but I don't know if you guys can see the difference with how it is now and how it was a few months ago. Like, I can already see it's starting to brown a bit, and it's probably going to get worse in the next few months. There are other color cups out there you can check on Takeout or on websites and things like that. So I would advise that if you want to avoid staining, use the other colors. But obviously they're all going to stain. It's just a matter of this one stains a lot quicker than the other ones, because obviously it's clear, or rather it's clearer to see the stains than the other ones. And I mean, I don't think it's horrible, but it just doesn't look right, you know what I mean? Actually, I have been looking up on what I can do to remove the stains, and there've just been a lot of suggestions on the internet, on YouTube and things like that. One of the ones that have come up a lot of times is using hydrogen peroxide, I think, a hydrogen peroxide solution, and leaving it in for 24 hours or more, depending on how stained it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy the hydrogen peroxide solution. It seems like something that you can find anywhere, so as soon as I find it, I'm going to try it out, and I will record it, and so that you guys can see the before and after of cleaning out the stains. And in that same video, I would love to answer any other questions that you guys might have. So please leave whatever questions that you have for me in the comments, and I will get to them in the next video. It should be a short video because I think I've covered quite a lot. Maybe by then I would have another tip. I really hope this has been somewhat informative for you guys, has answered a lot of your questions, or has made you feel a lot less like anxious about trying out the period cups, because I know after the first video a few people were like, nah, I'm not trying this at all, but I think it's worth the try. Yeah, like, it won't hurt to try. So I definitely hope that I have almost inspired you to try it anyway. So if you do try, please do let me know within the comments, or hit me up on the socials and let me know how your experience has been or is going. Yeah, bye.